Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again for another Appalachian Trail community news, Thru Hiker update, and trail information. Well, it's been a rough week out there on the trail. They've had lots of humidity, lots of heat, lots of drought, so a lot of the water sources are dried up. So the hikers out there are having a difficult time. This has been a difficult week for me because I've been battling what I'm pretty certain is Rocky Mountain spotted fever. So I came back from Vermont and noticed that I had a tick on me and got it off, didn't think anything about it. And then after about 14 days, which is the furthest end of the gestation period you typically have for Rocky Mountain spotted fever, I started getting symptoms and did not think anything about it. And anyway, fortunately, Trail Boss can be a little bit on the pushy side, and she made me go to the doctor, and sure enough, doctor, that is what he diagnosed it as, and that's what they're treating with doxycycline. And go back to, or hopefully hear back from him on Monday after the labs come back. He's had a time to look at that and everything, but got all the signs and symptoms of achy joints and tired and headaches and fevers and just all those signs and symptoms that go along with it. So I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but never had it before. Been bit probably by 1,000 ticks in my lifetime. And of course, I'm going to probably, statistically, it's time for me to run into it. So that being said, I'm doing better from what I was with the doxy from the beginning of the week. And that's awesome, and hopefully going to keep getting better because I got a hike coming up the end of this month, and I've got to get back out there on the trail because I'm missing it. So hopefully you've been catching my latest videos I've been sending out there about Vermont and finishing up Vermont, particularly with coming off the trail or flipping up and coming and hanging out with me for a couple days and hiking with me and actually covering some more of the trail through his through hike. And then, of course, he flipped back down and got caught back up to where we were, what we did, and now he flipped above that. So any case, I hope y'all been enjoying that, and let's get on to talk about folks that are out there on the trail right this second. So we got Lazarus and Rocket Man. They are in the 100-mile wilderness now, and they're planning to summit Katahdin on August 18th. So that's just in a few days. That is awesome. Lazarus says there's a ton of hikers in the area, lots of congestion. They got nobos, they got sobos, they got section hikers, people that are just doing the 100-mile wilderness, and that's it. He said you had all of a sudden an influx of flip-floppers coming from wherever they were flopping from. So I'm sure Shuttles and the other hostels up there in Monson are just jam-packed. Everything's going on up there. So right here in the middle of the summit season, so I'm sure it is awful busy up there. He indicated they had a lot of extreme heat and humidity through New Hampshire, and they are ready to get this, as he said, this puppy done. So they're ready to get their hike over with and get that completion that they've been looking for the whole time. So excited for that for them. And then we had some new folks to the channel, some Sobo hikers, a mother and daughter team, Susan and Gretchen, I believe that's how you pronounce that. They are Sobo, and they are raising funds for Parkinson's disease through the Michael J. Fox Foundation. So going to be interesting to see throughout their hike as they go. They have a YouTube channel that you can follow them along on. They also have a Facebook channel that you can follow them along on. So go and check them out. And if you have the means and you can do so, then please contribute to them and help them out. But so far, they've raised about $20,000, I believe, is what their account was up to. So that is awesome for them to be doing that. And currently, they are trail south of Mahoosic Arm and the Notch, and they are over 250 miles into their hike. So that is awesome. Looking forward to them continuing. Blaze Dog, he finally has a tramley now, and even though he's getting to the end of his hike, but he is thrilled to death to do so. And so he is hiking with Clean Machine and WIC, which I guess is WIC, and they're currently in around Monson, Maine, and they're hoping to summit on the 22nd. So really neat story here that goes along with them. So shows up is Blaze Dog's wife, and she's been showing up and helping with the camper and helping. They are RV hikers. In other words, he'll hike for a certain distance, and then she kind of uses the RV as a base camp and helps them out and brings them resupplies, things like that, so they don't have to go into town. And then they will go and move that RV on ahead, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of the way they've been doing it. So she's been manning that base camp there for them, or ladying that base camp there for them. And a really good story was that she was not able to get a parking permit up there at Baxter State Park, and she wanted to summit with Blaze Dog. And so she was kind of wringing her hands about what she's going to do about that. Those parking passes are hard to come by. And lo and behold, some Blaze Dog just reached out to some of his followers on Instagram, and some of his followers reached back and said that they had parking passes up there and that they would come and pick them up and take everybody up there so that they could summit, and then they'd get everybody back. So that is just awesome how the hiking community works and how the trail provides through trail angels, and just sometimes just the trail provides. So that is awesome. And it's kind of going to push there. I think they said they're going to push it back a little bit to the 22nd. So in any case, that is neat. And I love to hear stories about the hiking community and how they help each other out on a regular basis. Come along, my hiking partner and who hiked with me down in Vermont, and of course flip back up. He is now somewhere trail north or Mount Musalaki. So the last I heard, he had gotten over that, and he is continuing on north. Little chap, he has made it to New Hampshire. And then I had a subscriber, Bart Carr. He wanted to bring to our attention a hiker out there who may be the oldest hiker on the AT this year, who may have got overlooked on social media, and that is Tennis Dyson. So Tennis Dyson, he is 80, and he is Thru Hiking. He has a Facebook page where you can go and find him as well and give him an attaboy. He is currently in Massachusetts, and so I would encourage you to go and just tell him, give him a shout out, and tell him that you're rooting for him, and just every little thing helps people to spur on. I know that looking at his Facebook page today, he actually had to catch a shuttle with that had the big red spinny lights on it from a trailhead, just due to some reason. I'm not sure what it was, but he was having a bad cold or something, and really bad cold, and that can really, somebody that long in the tooth can affect them worse than others. And so they had to get him off the mountain, and he went with a little bit of protest, I understand, but they did get him in the motel and took a Nero or Zero, and now he's back out there on the trail. So Tennis, if you hear this, we're rooting for you. Look forward to continuing, and if you'd like to be part of these updates on a regular basis, please send those to me. Resupply, he's made it to Mount Greylock, and he is almost in another state, and almost got another state, Massachusetts, in the bag. So that'll be neat as he comes into Vermont. Forerunner, he has made it into Maine and says he's going to get into Stratton, Maine sometime within the next day or so. So that is awesome, Forerunner. Rock and Roll is back on the trail. He went to celebrate his 28th wedding anniversary with Mama Bear. So congratulations, Rock and Roll and Mama Bear. That's awesome. He has flipped up to Maine from Pennsylvania, and he'll be starting there at Grafton Notch, and he ain't stopping till he gets to Katahdin. So looking forward to those summit pictures, Rock and Roll, and keep on updating us. Papa Bear, he sent us an update, and he has made it to Manchester Center, which is there in Vermont. Groceries and Roadrunner, they are into New Hampshire, and they have just 2 states left. Subo Hiker Backtrack, he is into Massachusetts. Dandelion, she is made it into New Hampshire. And then the Outback, who is actually on the ECT, and we've been following since Key West, Florida, where he started. And of course, he's been updating us throughout his journey on the AT. But now that he's on the AIT, the International Appalachian Trail, and on the Eastern Continental Trail, then we're still updating him. And he is currently hiking in Prince Edward Island. And after Prince Edward Island, he'll have 2 more Canadian provinces left to complete the ECT. That's Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. So looking forward to seeing you finish that hike there out back. So appreciate those updates. If you're a thru hiker out there, know of a thru hiker, and want to be a part of our updates each week, then you can send them to my email address or to any of my social media IM accounts, and those links are down below in the description section. Off trail, Lolly and Pop, they made it to New York state line on Thursday, which is mile 1,350. And they just decided that they had other adventures that were planned pre-COVID and that are taking us off trail for the rest of the year. So they are going to abort their thru hike now, and they will not be returning to finish that thru hike, but they will be returning to finish the trail eventually. So they think they'll pick up where they left off next May, but for now, they're going to go ahead and get off the AT. So congratulations for them for what they did out there, and good luck on your next adventure, Lolly and Pop. Had some summits since the last time. Some folks reported in to me. Of course, we don't cover all the summits because not everybody reports into me, but we do have folks from time to time, and greatly appreciate those. T is summited, and she started the approach trail on February 6th, and she was number 100 down at Amicalola Falls State Park. When she got to Harper's Ferry on May, when she got there May 10th, she was number 144. And then when she got to get her summit pass to climb up to Baxter Peak and summit Katahdin there, she was number 233. So the biggest number for her, though, is probably the smallest number, and that is she is 63 years old. So that is awesome. That's about the age when I plan on doing the AT, when I can retire and find the time to do that. And so congratulations to T. I think that's great. You give us folks that are getting longer in the tooth up there, you give us hope that we can do it as well when we get to be that age. So looking forward to that, T. And then Spotter, who has been reporting to us for throughout the course of her journey and had some really great videos she put out there on YouTube. She had summited as well. She started at Springer on March 20th, but she did not register with the ATC. Some people choose to do that. So she does not have a number down there, didn't have a bag tag. But that is okay because she's completed her thru hike, and her Nobo summit up to Katahdin was number 212. So awful proud of Spotter for doing that, and just her journey. I believe she had attempted it before, and so she was successful in this journey. So congratulations to her. Thank you for all those updates, Spotter, that you sent throughout the course of your hike. So if you summit out there, whether you updated us or not, send me those summit pictures and send me your summit dates. And also, I'd like to have the information of what your summit number was that they gave you down at the park for your access pass, as well as what your number was if you did register with the ATC when you started. So all that's good information to have, just so we can track where we are with how many completions we had. So, but main thing is we want to celebrate with you and honor you by including you in our update. So some trail news we got out there. We've kind of had a really, what I consider an unusual amount of deaths this year on the AT. So for me, I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years now that I've really been watching and really been a part of the community and doing these updates. And I don't recall having this many deaths in a season. So maybe in previous seasons, and certainly before social media got out there, it may have been more, but we've of course had the death of a Grandmaster that died up there near McAfee Knob, who just seemingly passed out and fell off the edge up there. He wasn't right at McAfee Knob, but he was in the area. He really wasn't exactly on the edge. He kind of had his feet over the edge, but he just kind of fell forward. So wasn't showing off or showboating or anything like that. We had a death up on Washington Mountain. Somebody was not prepared for the the cold weather to move in, which can happen at any time of the year. Even this year, in July and August, it can happen. And so this individual, I believe it was back in June, passed away from exposure up there. And then we had the death that was about a mile off the trail. And it's my understanding he was a AT hiker, but he was off the trail, but he was found in his tent dead for several days. That was near Damascus. And then we recently, over the past week or so, had another hiker that died up at Mount Washington on the Jewel Trail. And the Jewel Trail shares the treadway with the Appalachian Trail on the way up to the summit. So he died from exposure up there, hypothermia, what have you, died from the cold, because and the only way you can die from the cold is, lack of preparation. Either you don't have enough clothes, or you didn't turn around when things got bad enough to get down below tree line, get to warmer air. So just been really weird this year. Hopefully that's it. We won't have any more to report for you, and there won't be any more deaths this year. If you are hiking in Connecticut for the next couple months, there are 2 shelters that are being replaced there, and they will be demoing them first and then replacing them. So we got the demo of the Riga shelter, which has already occurred, and that's at mile 1507. And then also just right after that, they're going to be demoing the Brassy Brook shelter. That's at 1507.9. That will start September 3rd. And then they will be rebuilding them after that, and that will take into October for both of those. So the camping is still allowed at the shelter sites. The campsites there are, but there won't be any shelters for you to utilize. And so just keep that in mind if you are coming through that area on a through hike or section hike, a Sobo, Nobo, flip-flop, whatever the case may be. And then I want to send a thanks out to our White Mountain tent site caretaker correspondent, and that's Roll Tide. He updates us with the folks that have been coming through there, and right now there's just really too numerous to mention. He had sent in probably 30 or 40 names, and I'd never get done if I kept mentioning all those folks, but please continue to send those in to me, Roll Tide. But he has reported a lot of folks coming in there, and one of his jobs is once they get there, and they run out of tent sites, which there's a limited number of tent sites there, nowhere near that many tent platforms for people to stay on. He has to find them, help them find a place up there that's going to have the lowest impact, but also be able to provide them some level of comfort. So there's probably no way that you can avoid every tree and every root and every rock up there when you're putting out your tent, particularly if you've got some type of duplex tent or something. But somehow Roll Tide managed to get people in there. That's got to be like a game of wilderness Tetris, trying to get folks in there. I mean, this is an example of how many folks coming up there, just one overnighter. So a lot of folks, so we appreciate that, Roll Tide. Appreciate you being patient with folks up there and all that you guys go through up there, and just helping people and living there in kind of austere environment as well. And hikers that are coming through there, just be patient. Listen to what he's got to say. He's only got your best interest in mind. And so keep it cool and just do like he says, and everything's going to work out just great. And then I got word from a viewer that the Stratton Pond reroute is now in effect. So that is now a permanent section of the trail. The trail no longer goes along the shoreline of the pond. So if you take that and you do not come back and do that new reroute, which is now permanent, then you will not have through hiked the entire trail. So I'd encourage you to go down there to Stratton Pond. I'd encourage you to stay at the Stratton Pond shelter and then go down there for the sunset, because the sunset is absolutely magnificent. So go down there. That is the water source, and enjoy that. But just keep in mind that the trail no longer goes around there, and I'm sure they've got it blocked off with some limbs or something like that. But do go down there and take that, what is now a Blue Blaze trail, and enjoy the pond down there. Folks, that's all I got this week. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out there.